So welcome, everybody. Geshe-la, we're really delighted that you've agreed to give these teachings on Chandrakirti's Majjhimika Avatara. And welcome to all the people online who are watching the teachings as well. Many of you attended Geshe Tupke's teachings a couple of weeks ago, and Geshe Yeshi is one of his students. So we have that whole transmission going down. I first met Geshe Yeshi back in the 90s. He was at the center in Knoxville, Tennessee, if you can believe that there was Buddhism in Knoxville, Tennessee, 25, 30 years ago. And so it's been very nice to know him over these years. And I saw him recently in December when I was in Mungo. So he's a Geshe from Drepung Losaling Monastery and teaches there and teaches also in the States and other places. So we're quite fortunate to have him here. Well, here, kind of, you know, via the internet. Yeah.
Virtually.
Yes. So, yeah. So welcome, Geshe-la, and thank you so much.
Yes, welcome, Geshe-la. Just a few things to help our viewers online. The recitations before and after the teachings you can find on the Sravasti Abbey homepage. Scroll down about halfway, look for the box that says Guide to Abbey Online Programs. Open that up and there's everything that you'll need for this morning. So if your questions don't get answered this morning, keep them for this afternoon, keep them for the rest of your life, hold them somewhere where you can find them, and eventually they will be answered. Thank you so much, Geshe-la.
Good morning again. Good morning again. Okay. So, I'm very delighted to have another opportunity to share my Dhamma knowledge with you in the continuation of last year's our engagement with Dhamma. Okay, so since this is a Dhamma sharing engagement, it is important for us to set altruistic motivation before beginning our class. So for setting motivation and as a reminder of the meaningful points that we covered last year, I will begin with a passage from Chandrakirti's Majjhimika Avatara. Quote, Sharvakas and middle-level Buddhas arise from monarchs of subduers. Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas. The compassionate mind and non-dual cognition as well as the spirit of enlightenment. These are causes of bodhisattvas. As compassion alone is accepted to be the seed of the perfect harvest of Buddhahood, the water that nourishes it, and the fruit that is long a source of enjoyment, I will place compassion at the start of all. So yeah, start of all, unquote. So of these two verses, the first one indicates that hearers and solitary realizers who have eradicated afflicted obstructions are resulted from Buddhas, and Buddhas themselves are in turn also born from bodhisattvas, and the compassionate mind and cognition of emptiness, as well as the mind training in a spirit of enlightenment are causes of bodhisattvas. So such mentioning is for the purpose of identifying and recognizing that true for destroyers, Buddhas and bodhisattvas as being originated from great compassion as their root. So first two lines of the first verse conveying causality among four destroyers of lesser vehicle and Buddhas as well as Bodhisattvas is meant to identify the ultimate principal root of these four beings as Krishna. So technically, okay, speaking, although you should not accept that the compassionate mind, cognition of emptiness, as well as the mind training in spirit of enlightenment are all causes of Bodhisattvas. But however, you can say those three are causes of their resultant Bodhisattvas. Given that bearers of Bodhisattva lineage with dull faculties do not actualize wisdom realizing emptiness prior to they become Bodhisattvas. Therefore, there's no fulfillment of relationship between Bodhisattvas in general and those three causes. that I think it's important for us to remind of the definition of relationship. Okay, the definition of relationship is one being different from the other, and by the power of the refutation of the other through valid cognition is also being refuted. Okay, one is also being refuted. So this is the definition of relationship. Okay, so Bodhisattvas in general are not related to the view of emptiness, just because Bodhisattvas can be refuted simply by without attainment of view of emptiness. But however, okay, there's no error for Madhyamika Avatar for conveying great compassion, cognition of emptiness, and contrived spiritual enlightenment as causes of Bodhisattvas, okay, because this particular causality is presented in accordance with the aptitude of principal Chinese of engaging in middle or supplement to middle, okay. Primary tenets of engaging in middle are all with sharp faculties, okay. So for such trainees with sharp faculties, so for such trainees with sharp faculties, all of these three causes must be actualized before they become Bodhisattvas, okay. So the second verse, okay, compassion alone is accepted. With regard to the second verse, okay, the second verse is as compassion alone is accepted to be the seed of the perfect harvest of Buddhahood, the water that nourishes it, and the fruit that is long a source of enjoyment. I will press compassion at the start of all. Okay, this second verse, okay, instructs that great compassion is the root of even the other two causes, which are view of emptiness and contrived bodhicitta, okay? Given that great compassion is the root of bodhicitta, it is also the root of mind training in bodhicitta, or mind training in bodhicitta, okay? Now, how great compassion being root of the view of emptiness is that when you are moved by unbearable compassion for all sentient beings, you will come to know self-grasping is the root of suffering through your investigation. Thereby, you will become intent on eradicating self-grasping, knowing that knowing that the only way you can remove your root of suffering is to ascertain the emptiness and habituate to it. The great compassion being as the root of even the other two causes makes the great compassion as the primary root of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and the four destroyers of heroes and solitary realizers. Due to great compassion being as the root of two other causes, it it automatically becomes essentially important for the beginning of altruistic mind of enlightenment. Later during training in the path of great vehicle, as well as upon attaining Buddhahood. So recalling that great compassion playing role of primary root for achievement of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and for destroyers of hearers and solitary realizers, and accomplishing their wishes. Let us motivate ourselves by this kind of, precious compassion for all sentient beings. So now, I think I will begin with our class with the third verse. I think I don't remember exactly where we left off last year, because I didn't read each passage or each word of the Tsongkhap's what is this? What is the name of the Tsongkhap's? Commentary on Madhyamika Avatara. Okay, so I think now I'm thinking that it is better to stick to Tsongkhap's commentary, which is known as what is this? Illumination of the thought. Okay, so therefore I'm planning, okay, to go each word, okay, word by word, and then if I see if there's a need to explain and also to discuss, I will do so, and then otherwise I will just read. Okay, so this is going to be, I think, more this is going to be more comprehensive. If if I just speak some points and then deal with those points, then there would be more chance or possibility that I would leave some of the I think more relevant and important points. So possibility that I may, to leave, I think, some of the, relevant and important points. So therefore, I'm going to stick to the, this commentary, okay, and we'll go word by word, okay. So I hope I hope I will be able to cover the first chapter during this, 7 sessions. Okay, so now with regard to the third verse, I think the division is that this is the division called homage to great compassion within differentiating its types. Okay, meaning paying homage to great compassion, three types of great compassion individually. Okay, so this section has 2 parts: homage to compassion observing sentient beings, and homage to compassion observing phenomena and the unapprehendable. Okay, now homage to compassion observing sentient beings, regarding homage to compassion observing sentient beings, Chandrakirti says, homage to that compassion for transmigrating beings powerless, like a water will. I think I translate it as water will. Okay, turning through initially adhering to a self, I, and then generating attachment for things. This is mine. Okay, so this is mine. Okay, the view of the transitory collection as I generates the view of transitory collection as mine, and hence these sentient beings initially prior to the view of the transitory adhering to mind, adheres to the meaning of I as truly existent, okay? Truly existent. That is to say, the view of the transitory apprehending I, thinking that a self which does not inherently exists, okay? Subsequently, right after that, the view of the transitory apprehending mind generates attachment for the truth of mind. Here, attachment refers to view of transitory, okay, view of transitory. Okay, view of transitory apprehending mind, okay. So here, okay. So therefore, this generates attachment. Attachment does not refer to actual attachment, okay. So here, attachment refers to the view of the transitory, which apprehends mind, okay. Okay. Thinking this is mine with respect to phenomena other than I, such as forms and eyes, okay. So thus paying homage to the compassion for transmigrators, wandering powerlessly like a water wheel, turning is the meaning of paying homage to compassion, observing sentient beings, okay. So here, it is, what is the meaning of, here I think, the view of the transitory apprehending I, okay. The view of the transitory apprehending mind, okay, mind, okay. So the distinction between them, okay, what is the difference or the view of the transitory apprehending I and view of the transitory apprehending mind, okay. So here I, okay. The observed object of the view of the transitory apprehending I is I, okay, I itself, okay. Whereas as regards the observed object of the view of the transitory apprehending mind is merely being mind, okay, merely being mind, okay. So for instance, forms, one's own forms and eyes, ears, and these, six faculties. Six faculties are not considered to be an object of, to be an observed object of the view of the transitory apprehending mind, okay. Even though when the innate, I think, when the innate view of the transitory apprehending mind arises, first you observe, okay. You observe things like your eyes, your things like your belongings, your psychophysical aggregates, also your belongings, and then afterwards you generate, okay, the view of the transitory apprehending mind as to, okay, as to attributing that these are belonged to inherently existent me, okay. So this is the mode of the view of the transitory apprehending mind, okay. So with regard to the order of the generation, innate order of the generation of innate, I think, with regard to the order of the generation of innate view of the transitory aberrant I and mine, first, the view of the transitory aberrant I arises, okay? As a consequence of that, we instinctively generate the view of the transitory aberrant mind, okay? So these are, cause and effect. These two wrong views are cause and effects, okay? So now, and then, again, let us stick to the Tsongkhapa's commentary, okay? Illumination of thought. Question: in what way are transmigrators similar to water? Okay, this is very important. Similar to a water will, okay. Response: sentient beings are the bearers of similarity, and a water will is the object of similarity, both having 6 features, such as being tight, okay. This is first. The first feature is that these worldly beings are bound very tightly by the rope of contaminated actions and afflicted emotions. In Chandrakirti's commentary, the word these should be applied to the other 5 features also. Okay, this is very clear. The second is that, second similarity is that the process of cyclic existence, okay, depends on being impelled by the mind. Okay, this is very quite important. So, the cyclic existence, okay, the process of cyclic existence depends on being impelled by the mind. Okay, so this shows that we are under the control of mind, but not not other way around. See, we are under the control of our mind, but our mind is not under the control of ourselves. So therefore, we are kind of subservient to our mind. Okay, subservient to our mind, or we are under the influence of our mind, or we are driven, okay, driven by our mind, instead of we are, how to say, we are keeping our minds in, we are instead that we are keeping our minds in our control. Okay, so this shows very, how to say, unpleasant faulty feature that we are undergoing. Okay, so the third is that these sentient beings ceaselessly wander in the great well of cyclic existence, from the peak of cyclic existence down to the most tortuous hell. Okay. The fourth feature is that these sentient beings naturally and effortlessly go downward to great transmigrations and must be drawn with great exertion upward to happy transmigrations. Okay. And must be drawn with great exertion upward to happy transmigrations. This is very clear because we are under the control of our own minds. Okay, our own minds are in turn under the control of negative emotions. Therefore, it is natural. Okay, it is inevitable. Okay, that these sentience, these 6 kinds of transmigrators naturally and effortlessly go downward to bed transmigrations, and they must be drawn with great exertion about heavy transmigration, heavy transmigrations. Okay. The fifth is that they have the three sets of thorough afflicted phenomena. Afflicted phenomena would be better rather than afflicted emotions. Okay, because the rest, the third set, which are resultant. Okay, so they can be treated as afflicted emotions. So therefore, I translated as afflicted phenomena. Okay, this is okay. The other, sets of thorough afflicted phenomena, the order of which cannot be determined one-pointedly. So this is also very important for us to remind of or reflect on. The three sets are the afflicted emotions of ignorance, attachment, and grasping, the actions of composition of action and existence, and the productions of consciousness, name and form, six sources, contact, feeling, birth and aging, and death. Okay, these are the resultant factors of dependent arising. See, now, while, any of three afflicted emotions, while any of three afflicted emotions, two contaminated activities, or seven resultant factors of the same round arise, also comes into being concomitantly is three sets of factors belonging to other rounds of 12 factors of dependent arising. For instance, when we generate ignorance, attachment or grasping belonging to a certain round of 12 links of dependent arising, contaminated activities or existence, as well as resultant factors belonging to other rounds of 12 factors of dependent arising occur simultaneously. And also with the case of generated contaminated activities, existence, as well as during resultant factors, remaining other two sets belonging to different rounds of factors of dependent arising also occur. So this is how the order of the three sets of afflictive phenomena is not one-pointedly determined. So this is also very, set feature of cyclic existence. So the order of 12 factors, the order of 12 factors is likened to the indefinite order of will turning in the will. Okay. So this is when I say water will, okay, this is a very, very ancient, okay, ancient type of water will, okay. Water will, okay. There are, the hub, spoke, and you have rim, okay. Let's say there are maybe 12, 12 spokes, okay. Each of those 12 spokes are attached to wooden buckets, okay. Maybe there are 12 different wooden buckets, okay. So when the what do you call them? The operator of the pulley mechanism, okay, turns this wheel, okay. These 12 buckets go into the well, okay. He constantly turn it, okay, and then so this is the analogy, okay, we use here, okay. So these buckets, okay, are constantly turning around in the well. So we cannot one-pointedly determine this is first, this is second, this is third, okay. One-pointedly determine that this is the first one. We cannot, one-pointedly determine determine the order in the sense that this is the first one, this is the first bucket, this is the second bucket, this is the third bucket. Okay. Likewise, okay. So these 12 factors of the divine arising, 12 factors of the divine arise also. Okay. So these three, I mean, within the 12 links of divine arising, there are 3 sets of afflicted phenomena. Okay. Those 3 sets of afflicted emotions, afflicted phenomena. Okay. When one is arising, the other types, okay, also other, factors of the other, other factors of the divine arising belonging to other round also arise. So therefore, the order of the 12 links of dependent 12 links of divine arising is understood as indefinite. Okay. Now the 6th feature is that every day these sentient beings are battered by the sufferings of pain and change and the pervasive suffering of being so conditioned as to be always ready to undergo pain. Therefore, these sentient beings do not pass beyond the state of a water well. Here, the application of similarity by way of 6 features is not made merely for the sake of understanding the way that sentient beings wander in cyclic existence. Okay. Now the question, okay, then what is the purpose? Okay. Response, previously, okay, means here pointing to the 1st and 2nd verse, okay. Chandrakirti's 1st and 2nd verse of the root text indicated that one who wishes to enter the great vehicle must initially generate great compassion, but he did not show how to generate compassion in meditation. Okay. Here, by showing the way the sentient beings wander powerlessly in cyclic existence, he indicates how to generate great compassion through meditation. By what agency do sentient beings enter into cyclic existence? By just this, by just this extremely unpeaceful, untamed mind. This is the agent. Where and how do they wander from the peak of cyclic existence to the most tortuous hell without slightest interruption in their cycling? By what causes and conditions do they wander? By the power of contaminated actions and afflicted emotions. They wander in bad transmigrations by the power of non-meritorious actions and their afflicted emotions. Their afflicted emotions means that afflicted emotions which generate, okay, such non-meritorious actions, okay. And in happy transmigrations by the power of meritorious and unmoving actions and their afflicted emotions. Again, here their afflicted emotions refer to the motivations, okay, which gives rise to such contaminated actions. Okay. To be born in bad transmigrations, the process operates automatically and without effort. But it is difficult to be born in happy transmigrations because great effort must be made to achieve their causes. So, okay. Yeah, okay. So this is also, we can understand this from our own experience, okay. And also through applying, okay, how to say, reasoning, naturally powered reasoning, okay. So we can understand this. the topics of discipline. Vinaya Vastu, okay? In Tibetan Lungji, we say Lungji, says that instances of living either a happy or a bad transmigration and going to a bad one are as numerous as the particles of this great earth, and that instances of living a happy or a bad transmigration and going to a happy one are as few as the particles holding to the tip of a fingernail. Okay, so this is very good analogy. Whenever, okay, any of the three afflicted emotions in a round of dependent arising is present, the two remaining groups are also operating in other rounds of dependent arising. Therefore, the process is uninterrupted. Okay, okay, and here the process is uninterrupted, means this whole system. Okay, the whole, I mean the process of all of the factors belonging to 12 links of dependent arising. Okay, so the process is uninterrupted. See, when we, suppose, for instance, okay, when we generate, okay, ignorance, okay, there's also possibility to generate, okay, I mean, possibility of arising contaminated activity, which is belonging to, another round of 12 links of dependent arising. Okay, and not only that, but also when you generate innate ignorance, there's also possibility that causal consciousness, the third consciousness, okay, the consciousness, the third factor consciousness, okay, and also attachment, grasping, and also existence. And not only that, but also 7 resultant factors belonging to other round of 12 links of dependent arising. Okay, so therefore the process is uninterrupted, means when one is within among the 12 links of dependent arising, when one of the factors among the 12 links of dependent arising arises, the others 11 factors belonging to other rounds of dependent arising also arise. So therefore, the process is uninterrupted. Okay, whole system or whole process of 12 links of dependent arising is uninterrupted. And every day, like ripples in water, beings are tormented more than once by the 3 sufferings. If your mind has not been affected by thinking about the way that you yourself wander in cyclic existence, this is very important, cyclic existence, then when you think about these modes of suffering in other sentient beings, there's no way that you, as a beginner, can find their suffering unbearable. Okay, this is very true. Okay, therefore, as Chandrakirti says in his commentary on 400, okay, first you should think about these in yourself, and afterwards meditate on them in other sentient beings. Now question, okay, can great compassion be induced merely by meditating on the way that other sentient beings are tortured in cyclic existence by suffering and by the sources of suffering, or is another aid needed? Okay, this is a great question here. So response, Tsongkhapa gives this response, okay. In the world, when suffering is seen in an enemy, not only is it not unbearable, but you delight in it. When a person who has neither helped nor harmed you is seen to suffer, okay, you will in most cases pay no attention to that person. These reactions are due to not having a sense of pleasantness with respect to these persons. Okay, this is clear. When you see friends suffer, okay, it is unbearable in the sense that you fail to do something about it. And the degree of unbearability is just as great as your sense of pleasantness towards them. Okay. Therefore, okay, it is an important, essential that you must generate a sense of strong cherishing and affection for sentient beings. Okay. So now there are two things. Okay, two factors that we need to accomplish in order to achieve great compassion for ourselves. These two factors are reflecting upon how sentient beings are suffering in cyclic existence with respect to those 6 similarities, okay? And also, we need to generate a sense of strong cherishing and also great affection for sentient beings. So these are two factors, necessary factors, in order for us to generate great compassion. Okay, so this is okay. So this is what Tsongkhapa says here in terms of what to do. In terms of what to do in generating great compassion. I mean, yeah, okay. In terms of what to be doing, I mean, to achieve great compassion. Okay. So among the Manaus scholars, there are two systems concerning the means for generating a sense of pleasantness. Of the first, Chandrakirti says in his commentary to 400 that if sentient beings are considered to have been friends, such as parents from beginningless time, then one can bear to plunge into cyclic existence for their sake. The great being, Chandra Gomin, and the monarch scholars, Kamaleshila also presented it this way. The second is the system of glorious Shantideva. Okay, so there are two systems. These can be known from my explanations elsewhere. This refers to the great and medium length expositions of the stages of the path. Okay, so So, okay, as conveyed in Tsongkhapa's great stages of the path to enlightenment, the measure of generation with great compassion. Okay, now the measure, I think. Now I think first I think so. There are two techniques. This is mentioning that there are two techniques in terms of generating great affection for all sentient beings. Okay, the one is that through the application of the instructions on 7 cause and effects, and the other one is exchanging self and others. Okay, so the first one is, see, the first, you need to generate equanimity for all sentient beings. Afterwards, you need to generate that all sentient beings, having become one's mothers, friends, and one's mothers, fathers, friends, and once how to say, friends who have tremendously helped oneself. Okay, from the beginningless time. Okay, and then the recalling the kindness of them. Okay, and then also then afterwards repaying their kindness, and so this equanimity, understanding, or the cultivation of the understanding of all sentient beings having become one's parents, and also the cultivation of mindfulness, or recalling. I think also the recalling would be better. Recalling their cultivation of recalling their kindness. Okay, and also cultivation of sense of responsibility for repaying their kindness. So through the combination of those four factors, for equanimity and so forth. Okay, through the combination of those 4 factors, you can generate great affection for all sentient beings. Okay, and this is one method. The other one is that through the application of the instruction of exchanging one and self and others. Okay. So this is okay. Now okay, now so now okay, now as conveyed in Tsongkhapa's great stages of the path to enlightenment, the measure of generation of great compassion is, I think it is important for us to know the measure of the generation of great compassion. Okay, so as conveyed in Tsongkhapa's great stages of the path to enlightenment, the measure of generation of great compassion is whenever you think of individual sentient beings or all sentient beings as collectively, you generate compassion for them spontaneously to the same intensity as a mother's compassion for her only child who is extremely suffering and pleasant to her. Okay. So this measure is, this measure is sourced from Stages of Meditation by Kamala Shila. And that the mode of great compassion is wishing all sentient beings to be free from all three types of suffering in general, and more importantly, from pervasive suffering. Okay. Those who strive to train in great compassion through strongly cherishing sentient beings and reflecting on the ways in which those beings are tortured in cyclic existence make Chandragiri's uncommon expression of worship meaningful. Those who otherwise claim to be skilled in this are like parrots' utterance. This analogy applies to other situations as well. Later, I will explain how this becomes to be compassion observing sentient beings. Okay. So this refers to that. He later explains that Tsongkhapa later explains that how this this compassion becomes to be compassion observing sentient beings. Okay. What he explains is that compassion observing sentient beings refers to compassion observing all sentient beings without qualifying sentient beings by impermanence or coarse selflessness, and as well as being devoid of inherent existence. Okay. So the term compassion observing only sentient beings is contracted to compassion observing sentient beings. And so this is how certain type of compassion becomes, compassion observing, sentient beings. Okay. Now I think homage to compassion observing phenomena and the unapprehendable. In order to illuminate compassion observing phenomena and compassion observing the unapprehendable from the viewpoints of the objects observed, Chandragiri says in his root text, transmigrators seen as evanescent and empty over inherent existence, like a moon in rippling water. Okay. Chandragiri's homage to compassion observing phenomena is homage to compassion viewing transmigrators as evanescent or momentarily disintegrating, like a moon in water stirred by breeze. His homage to compassion observing the unapprehendable is homage to compassion viewing transmigrators as empty of inherent existence, though they appear to exist inherently, like the reflection of the moon in water. Okay. So here, homage to compassion viewing transmigrators as empty of inherent existence. You, homage to compassion viewing transmigrators as empty of inherent existence, though they appear to exist, okay, inherent, like the reflection of the moon in water. Okay. So here, okay, if you see, how this structure, okay, implies S2, okay. S2, okay. S2, I mean, S2, I mean, this is how, I mean, okay. See, I mean, let me read this again. Homage to compassion, viewing transmigrators as empty of inherent existence, though they appear to exist inherently. Okay, if you okay, when I see this, okay, when I read this, okay, it may kind of convey that the compassion observing the unapprehendable views transmigrators as empty of inherent existence. Okay, so this is not the meaning of, this is not the real meaning of Tsongkhapa's expression. Or okay, this Tsongkhapa's expression. Okay, if you how to say, if you it seems okay if you look at this closely and think of the meaning as it think of the meaning of this expression as it seems to convey. Okay, there may be okay possibility that this is this is expressing that compassion observing the unapprehendable views. Okay. Transmigrators as empty of inherent existence. Okay, so this is not the case. Okay, this is not real meaning. Okay, what does this convey is that the person, okay, the person, okay, the person, okay, who how to say, within whom, okay, the person, okay, what does this convey is that person who is generating, I mean, who is generating the compassion, observing a phenomena and the compassion observing the non-apprehendable has, I mean, view or know or ascertain that transmigrators as empty of inherent existence or transmigrators as impermanent. Okay. So, okay, now this a little bit. Huh? Okay, now in comment on this. Okay, is that clear? Okay. So, homage to compassion, viewing transmigrators as empty of inherent existence. Okay, this okay. So this is looking at the structure of the word. It seems to imply that compassion itself as viewing transmigrators as empty of inherent existence. Okay, so this is not the real meaning that Tsongkhapa here wants to indicate. Okay, what he wants to indicate here is that the the persons, okay, who is generating, okay, who is generating compassion, observing the unapprehendable views, okay, or ascertains that transmigrators as empty inherent existence. Okay. Now, in commenting on this, Chandrakirti says, homage to that compassion omitting for transmigrators. But his thought is that the transmigrators are included as the objects observed by the latter two compassions. Latter two compassions refer to compassions observing phenomena and compassions observing the unapprehendable. An image of the moon appears in a portion of very clear water that is covered by ripples from a mild breeze. The water that serves as the basic object is apprehended prior to the reflection, but the reflection is manifestly apprehended as a real moon that disappears each day. The excellent ones, namely beings who are skilled in these ways, see momentary impermanence and the emptiness of the nature of the moon as it appears to be. As in the example, okay, Bodhisattvas who have come under the influence of compassion. So here, see, the emptiness of the nature of the moon as it appears to be. Here, the emptiness is not, emptiness does not refer to the emptiness of inherent existence. But here, emptiness is that the moon, the emptiness of the, how do you say, the moon, okay, the reflection of moon being empty of, the reflection of moon, okay, is being empty of adi, or being empty of moon. I think this is a little bit awkward in English, but means, okay, the reflection of moon empties of being moon itself. Okay, does it make sense? Okay. So, okay. Okay. Reflection of the reflection of moon is empty of being moon itself. Okay. But in other words, okay, the reflection of moon is devoid of being moon itself. Okay. So as in this example, Bodhisattvas who have come under the influence of compassion also see sentient beings in an ocean, the view of the transitory, which is filled by a vast blue river of ignorance. They see that this ocean in which sentient beings abide is stirred by the winds of improper thought, and that the reflections of beings on wholesome and unwholesome actions, which are like the moon in the sky, okay, are reflected in the form of them, okay. So here, the reflection of the moon, okay, moon represents wholesome actions and unwholesome actions, okay, and the reflection of the moon represents fruition of wholesome actions and unwholesome actions. In this case, reflection, in this case, okay, what represented by reflection is fruition, and fruition in turn refers to sentient beings, okay. So sentient beings are fruition, you can say, okay, fruition, okay. They are fruitions. They are fruitions of their propelling wholesome activities or unwholesome activities. Okay. Now, Bodhisattva sees sentient beings with the suffering of composition, momentary disintegration, descend on them. Suffering of composition is very important. The most important here. Okay, to reflect on. Okay, descending on them, and they see beings as empty of inherent existence. And as explained here earlier, their great compassion arises from reflecting on the pleasantness of sentient beings and on the ways in which they wander in cyclic existence. Okay. Even though the view of the transitory ignorance, Chandrakirti explains ignorance separately here. Okay, as a river flowing into the ocean of the view of the transitory. Okay, because he is referring to introducing the view of transitory. Okay, the cause of the this particular ignorance is a cause of the view of transitory. Okay, transitory, the apprehension of a self of phenomena. Okay. At this point in his commentary, Chandrakirti says that the three compassions are distinguished by the objects. Okay, that they observe, not by their subjective aspects. Okay. Therefore, all three types of compassion have as their subjective aspect the wish that sentient beings be freed from suffering. They are thereby similar in that they observe sentient beings. Okay. In discussing the first type of compassion, Chandrakirti says compassion for transmigrators, and in discussing the latter two types of compassion, he says evanescent transmigrators. In this way, he shows that sentient beings are the objects observed. Therefore, okay, compassion observing phenomena does not observe just sentient beings, but sentient beings who momentarily disintegrate. Therefore, the objects of observation are sentient beings qualified by momentary impermanence. When one determines that beings disintegrate momentarily, the existence of a permanent, unitary, and self-powered persons is eliminated. Okay, so this is when one determines means when one understands. Okay, or when one ascertains here. Okay, when one ascertains that beings disintegrate momentarily. Okay, that sentient beings are impermanent. Okay, then at that very moment, the existence of a permanent, unitary, and self-powered person is eliminated, means negated. Okay, for one's mind. Okay, thereby one can ascertain the non-existence of sentient beings who are different entities from their mental and physical aggregates. So non-existence was, yeah, okay. So once you know that sentient beings are permanent, then at that very moment, you eliminate that sentient beings as permanent, unitary, and self-powered. And as a result of that, you can ascertain the non-existence of sentient beings that are different entities from their mental and physical aggregates. And you can also, that means you can also understand that sentient beings are same entities as their physical and mental aggregates. And at that time, okay, when you ascertain that sentient beings and their mental and physical aggregates are as same entities, you also understand that sentient beings are designated to the mere collection of the mental and physical aggregates. Sentient beings who are designated to the mere phenomena of the aggregates and so forth. So forth here refers to 6 elements and 12 sources, okay, serve as the objects of observation, and thus this is called compassion observing phenomena, okay. Okay, so here, okay. Observe, okay, yeah. So, sentient beings, okay, qualified being designated to their mere mental and physical aggregates serve as objects of compassion, okay. And therefore, okay, therefore, such a compassion is a compassion observing sentient beings designated to mere phenomena of a collection of mental and physical aggregates. Therefore, the term compassion observing phenomena is a contraction, okay. Okay, so if you call it by its full name, it should be like that. Compassion observing sentient beings sentient beings which are qualified by being designated to mere phenomena of collection of mental and physical aggregates. Okay, so this is a very long name, okay, long term. So therefore, in order to easily, in order to easily, in order to convey easily, okay, in order to express, okay, easily, this contraction is made, okay. Now, impermanent sentient beings are just an illustration, okay. This is very important, illustration, okay. So here, illustration means it represents something else. What represents it? Okay. What else does it represent? Okay, is that observing sentient beings that are not substantial existence is also called observing phenomena here. Okay, means that great compassion. Okay, observing sentient beings by qualifying them, sentient beings, by qualifying them sentient beings, let me say it. Great compassion observing sentient beings, qualifying them by not being substantially existent, okay, is an compassion observing phenomena. Yes, observing phenomena, because the reason is that because that certain type of compassion is compassion observing phenomenon, because it is a great compassion observing sentient beings, qualifying by being designated, being designated to mere physical and mental aggregates. Okay. Yeah, okay. I think. Let me say this. Okay. Okay. Sentient beings, okay. Sentient beings observing. Observing, okay. Compassion observing. Great compassion observing sentient beings. Qualifying, I think. Qualifying it by, great sentient being, great compassion, observing sentient beings, observing sentient beings, observing sentient beings, okay. With, I think, observing sentient beings through qualifying the sentient beings by, by being designated to mere, designated to designated to their mere psychophysical aggregates. Okay. Okay, now, so this is okay. Okay, now I think, okay. Now, yeah, okay. So let me, okay, say it again. I think make it more clear, okay. See, compassion observing phenomena does not necessarily to be directly conjoined by wisdom realizing impermanence of sentient beings, okay? But sentient beings, okay. Wisdom realizing impermanence of sentient beings. But there are other, other compassion observing phenomena which is even though which is not directly conjoined with wisdom realizing impermanence of sentient beings. There can be, it can be directly conjoined with wisdom realizing non-substantial existence of sentient beings, okay? So therefore, with the case of sentient being, with the case of great compassion, observing, sentient beings by qualifying with the case of sentient, with the case of great compassion, observing sentient beings, okay, observing sentient beings through with qualification, with qualifying, with qualifying its object, sentient beings, by being designated to mere psychophysical aggregates. Okay, so this is so therefore, okay, so therefore such a type of compassion fulfills, I think, fulfills to be, fulfills the definition of being great compassion, observing phenomena. Okay. Okay. Now, now observing those who do not substantially exist is also called observing phenomena. Okay. Observing those who do not substantially exist is also called observing phenomena. Therefore, giving the name observing phenomena to observation of sentient beings who are designated to mere phenomena is a contraction. Okay. Compassion observing the unapprehendable also does not observe mere sentient beings. It observes a special object sentient beings who are empty of inherent existence. Unapprehendable means not truly existent and refers to the referent objects not existing in the way that is conceived. To exist by a consciousness grasping at signs, signs of inherent existence. Okay. Giving the name observing the unapprehendable or unapprehendable compassion to the observation of sentient beings, qualified by an absence of true existence is a contraction. Okay. Now, here many Tibetan commentators say that the second compassion observes momentary disintegration and the third observes the absence of inherent existence. Okay, here observes means that in this case observe means that many Tibetan commentators, okay, means here it refers to the earlier I think Tibetan commentators before, earlier earlier than Tsongkhapa. That many Tibetan commentators. Okay. Many Tibetan commentators said that the second compassion observes momentary disintegration and the third observes the absence of inherent existence. Here, okay, observes means here, observe, okay, means ascertain, okay, ascertain by valid cognition, okay. So these, these proponents of Tibetan Tibetans, okay, these Tibetan proponents say that the second compassion observes means second compassion, the compassion observing phenomena ascertains momentary disintegration, and the third compassion, the great compassion observing the unapprehendable, observes the absence of inherent existence. Okay, so these are explanations by those who have not understood well the subjective aspects and objects of observation of these two compassions. For it is necessary to assert that both have the aspect of wishing that sentient beings be freed from suffering, and if momentariness and the absence of inherent existence were asserted, okay, as the objects of these aspects, then a single compassion would have two discordant aspects as its mode of apprehension, okay. So, therefore, okay, sentient beings qualified by momentariness and the absence of inherent existence are put as the objects of observation of these two compassions, okay. Thus, okay, before a person can have these two in their mental continuums, they must ascertain that sentient beings are momentary and do not inherently exist. Then, it depends on this previous ascertainment, the aspects of these two qualities must appear to the mind. However, it is not necessary that these compassions themselves apprehend sentient beings. Apprehend, I think ascertain would be better. However, it is not necessary that these compassions themselves ascertain sentient beings as impermanent or as not inherently existent. So here, okay, now, okay, so okay, now here, when we say compassion observing phenomena and compassion observing the unapprehendable, they mean that they are conjoined, directly conjoined with certain type of wisdoms. For instance, compassion observed, compassion observing phenomena is directly conjoined wisdom realizing the impermanence of sentient being, whereas great compassion observing the unapprehendable is directly conjoined with wisdom realizing emptiness of inherent existence, of sentient beings. So this, being directly conjoined with, great compassion, being directly conjoined with wisdom realizing impermanence of sentient beings is the same, as, I think, great compassion observing phenomena. So therefore, observing phenomena. Great compassion. Is this no? Great compassion. I should say great compassion observing phenomena. So for instance, the great compassion. Which is directly conjoined with wisdom realizing impermanence of sentient beings, is considered is an act of great compassion observing phenomena. So therefore when we establish the definition of great compassion observing phenomena, we established that definition as great compassion. Great compassion, which is either directly conjoined by wisdom realizing impermanence of sentient beings, or non-substantial existence of self. So this is where great compassion observing sentient beings, great compassion observing great compassion conjoined with directly conjoined with great compassion, directly conjoined with wisdom realizing impermanence of sentient beings, or wisdom realizing non-existence of self-sufficiency of sentient beings. So, okay. So, and okay. And then, so when we say, okay, observing sentient beings, which is qualified by impermanence or non-substantial existence of self. Okay. 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 So these are the same. I mean, okay, I think now I think okay. So let me. Okay. I need to point out something here. It's a little bit hard for me. The idea is pretty easy in Tibetan, but a little bit difficult for me to tell this in English. Okay, so I will try. Okay, directly conjoined. We say okay. Wisdom realizing. Okay. When we say compassion. Okay, observing phenomena. Compassion observing phenomena. When we say compassion observing phenomena, we mean it by being. I mean we mean it. Okay, as a great compassion observing sentient beings, which is qualified by either impermanence of sentient beings or non-substantial existence of self. Okay, of sentient beings. Okay, and so these are something. These are synonymous, or these are the same. I mean, sentient beings of great compassion observing sentient beings, which is qualified by either impermanence of sentient beings or non-substantial existence of self, is synonymous or is the same thing as great compassion, which is directly conjoined with wisdom realizing impermanence of sentient beings, or wisdom realizing non-existence of self-sufficiency of sentient beings. Okay, so so therefore, okay, here, so therefore, since these two are synonymous or the same meaning, okay, so it is very relevant and important for us to know what it takes to be conjoined with compassion or wisdom, okay, or what does it mean, okay, to be conjoined with compassion or wisdom. Okay, so conjoined with compassion or wisdom is analogous to mother's thoughts, okay, as to what to talk to people while she is not released from the agony or passing away of her only child. Okay, though those thoughts are not anguish themselves, but are not released from the force of agony. Okay, likewise, though great compassion observing the unapprehendable does not realize emptiness, or the great compassion observing phenomena does not realize emptiness, and also the does not realize impermanence, and also the also the non-existence of self-sufficiency of sentient beings. But they are, directly conjoined, okay, with the view of impermanence and impermanence, okay, with the view of, impermanence or gross view of gross selflessness or view of emptiness, okay, respectively. So, okay, so so therefore, the mechanism for that is this, I think. See, first, you need to generate ascertainment of impermanence of sentient beings, or else you need to generate non-existence of self-sufficiency of sentient beings, okay? Afterwards, based on that understanding, you need to generate compassion for all sentient beings. So at that moment, once you have generated such great compassion for all sentient beings, that very compassion becomes directly conjoined with wisdom realizing impermanence or gross or coarse selflessness. Okay. So therefore, since compassion observing phenomena is directly conjoined with wisdom realizing impermanence of sentient beings or coarse selflessness, that very compassion, compassion observing phenomena, the impermanence of sentient beings or coarse selflessness of sentient beings appear to sentient beings observing phenomena. Okay, impermanence of sentient beings appear to great compassion observing phenomena, which is directly conjoined with wisdom realizing impermanence of sentient beings. Okay, and also, the great compassion observing phenomena, which is directly conjoined with wisdom realizing coarse selflessness. Okay. Also, true. I should. Also. Also, the coarse selflessness appears to the great compassion observing phenomena, which is directly conjoined with wisdom realizing coarse selflessness. Okay, so this is one thing. Okay, so great compassion observing great compassion observing sentient beings, to which sentient beings appears as impermanent. Okay, and also great compassion observing phenomena, which is directly connected with wisdom realizing coarse selflessness, to which sentient beings also appears as non-existent as non-existent as being substantially okay, existent, okay, as non-existence of how to say, okay, appears, great compassion, observing phenomena, which is directly conjoined with wisdom realizing, course, selflessness, okay. So with case of this, this very compassion, selflessness of what do you say? The non-existence of self-sufficiency. Non-existence of self-sufficiency. Okay. Of non-existence of self-sufficiency of sentient beings appear. Okay. True. Okay. To the great compassion, observing phenomena which is directly conjoined with wisdom realizing course, selflessness. Okay. So okay. So this is okay. So okay, I think okay. Then now I think okay, maybe it's a little bit. I think I still have some work. I think okay, we can. Shall we stop here or what is this? Time, okay. Little bit. I'm a little bit concerned about time. Can you hear me? Okay.
So
We
would
still
you be
have 10
able to
minutes, 10
take
minutes.
questions right now?
Oh yeah, I think good. I think. Oh yeah.
Are there any from the Abbey?
Geshe, could you repeat that definition of relationship?
Oh, I see. Oh, one being okay. One being different from the other. Okay. One being different from the other. When one is negated or refuted or eliminated by valid cognition, the other is also refuted. One is being different from the other. When one is refuted by valid cognition, the other is also refuted.
For a second question, when we're talking about compassion observing phenomena, there's the two different wisdoms, either the wisdom receiving impermanence or the wisdom of a lack of a coarse selflessness. Are these equivalent, or is one more subtle than the other? Do you develop them in sequence, or how do these two different
I see. Good. Yeah, clear. Yeah, you need to develop them in sequence, okay? First, impermanence. Afterwards, gross selflessness of sentient beings. First, you need to ascertain, okay, impermanence of sentient beings. Afterwards, you need to ascertain coarse selflessness of sentient beings, okay? Is that clear?
Yes.
So
thank you.
impermanence is a tool here. Tool is like a tool, okay? Tool which can be which can be used, okay, or yeah, very, which is very, which can be used, okay, or not only can be, it's very I mean, very primary, I think. Impermanence here, impermanence is a primary tool, okay, primary tool or primary factor, okay, in terms of actualizing, and cultivating understanding or mastery of course selflessness.
So Geshe Yeshi, there's a question online. If you go to the
Oh, yeah.
Q&A box and then the
Oh,
answer.
okay.
The question is from B. She says, why is the mind of great compassion itself cannot also realize impermanence and emptiness of inherent existence? Why are these two modes of apprehension discordant?
Can you repeat that?
And is why does the mind of great compassion not able to realize impermanence and emptiness of inherent existence? Why are these two modes of apprehension?
Good. Because here, when we're talking about great compassion, here, they are all conceptions. Okay, conceptions. Okay, one conception cannot have two different modes of apprehension. Okay, so when we how to say define whether it is a one conception, two conceptions, three conceptions, or many more, this number, this how to say, this is okay. This is this how to say, whether it is one conception or two or three or more, is okay determined by mode of apprehension. Okay, if there are two different modes of apprehensions, then you can say there are two conceptions. Okay, so therefore, conception, great compassion, given that great compassion is a one single conception. Okay, conceptual thought or conceptual experience. Okay, one single. So therefore, it must not have two different modes of apprehension. Okay, so this is how, okay, one type of one compassion. This is how a great compassion does not realize emptiness and as well as the impermanence of sentient beings.
Okay. And then there's another question right under it. In explaining the definition of relationship, did Geshe-la also say bodhisattvas have no relationship with the view of emptiness?
Yes, in general, bodhisattvas in general are not related to view of emptiness. Okay, because if bodhisattvas are related to view of emptiness, this is, I think, a little bit tricky. Technically speaking, we should say that way. Okay, that bodhisattvas in general are not related to view of emptiness, because the reason is that in order to arise a bodhisattva, okay, there's no requirement for the attainment of wisdom realizing emptiness as a prerequisite. Okay, so therefore, bodhisattvas considered not being related to wisdom realizing emptiness. When we say relationship, okay, relation there's all kinds of relationship, okay? Now here, when I say here, when we use this relationship or related to this term, okay, that is a technical term, okay? So in normal language, you can say related to,